If you're unsatisfied with your work output as a founder or a CEO, or your business's work output as a whole, chances are you probably don't have a system to keep you or your employees accountable on a daily basis. Now, we actually noticed this in our company. Despite having weekly deadlines, quarterly objectives, yearly objectives, and deadlines, we had everything mapped out, but we realized that for us as founders, me and my co founder, and our employees, struggle to really have that daily accountability. And that was what was actually detrimenting our work output. After I saw this issue, I realized that adding a system that facilitates some level of daily accountability was the answer. So I built this SOP, which I'm about to give you today, which is literally the first thing that I, as a founder, use, my co founder uses, and all our employees use on a daily basis to keep ourselves accountable. And after measuring it, we're actually able to track metrics in terms of what our work output is, number one. And number two, we're actually able to maximize work output on a daily basis. What I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to give you our SOP and you're going to be able to implement it in your business to multiply your work output. So stick around, watch the whole thing, because if you don't use it properly, it might actually have a negative effect. Ladies and gentlemen, as aforementioned, I'm about to give you our daily SOP, our standard operating procedure that we have used to multiply our work output on a daily basis. The thing is, the reason why having this implemented daily is so important is because most businesses don't struggle with having deadlines met usually. It's oftentimes just setting the proper deadlines, which is going to be discussed in another video, or making sure that work output is optimal on a daily basis, because it is the days that actually make the weeks and the quarters and the years. So if you can multiply your work output or your employees' work output on a daily basis, then what you'll actually be able to do is streamline everything and be able to achieve your goals, your quarterly goals, weekly goals, yearly goals much faster. When I implemented this SOP into my business, it revolutionized what I thought was possible in terms of completion in all of those timeframes. On a week, on a quarter, on a year, all of these timeframes were literally shrinked. I would say that this SOP single-handedly allowed us as a business, Compass, to achieve goals at least 3 times faster. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to explain to you how to actually use it. So first things first, again, this is the Compass Daily SOP. What I've done is I've created a different template for you guys, so you'll be able to access that. Make sure to make a copy so that you can utilize it. But essentially how it starts off is with the name and the date. Now, I personally use these every single day. I don't know if you can see, but I actually have it bookmarked. As you can see up here at the top, the to-do list is bookmarked. So I fill this out every single day. Now, how do I fill it out? First things first, of course, I make a copy. So that's what I'm going to do right now. And usually there's a name and a date. So name/date. I put my name here. Let's say my name is Hattie, which it is. And I put the date here. So that's September the 8th. And now I have it made. Right, I have one made for today as well. But again, this is for presentation purposes. Then I fill it out here. Again, this is just a formality, September 8th. The first and the most important thing that I like to do, and we actually made this as an edit, is implementing a creation time. So this is basically a clock in time. The reason why this is so important, and the reason why using Google Docs is the best thing that we found for this, is you can actually check bookmarks. You can check timestamps, apologies. So you can check when somebody entered the time that they're actually going to create, or they actually created this to-do list. So it's basically, especially if you're working remotely, you are, your founders are, or your employees are, this is a very good way to see when they decided to start working on things. Now, so for now, right now it's 2:33 p.m. So if this is when I clocked in, let's say I had a bad morning, I can just put in 2:33 p.m. Do not start working at 2:33 p.m., please. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to check up on my weekly SOPs or my quarterly SOPs, which we're also going to give to you. We have videos for those as well. I'm going to go ahead and take those tasks and I'm going to break them down. Let's say that my task for this week and the deadline that I set for today was to complete a landing page, right? So I'm going to type in complete landing page and I'm going to put in the time that I actually entered this in. So I decided to do this at 2:33 p.m. I entered this in. Now, of course, because a lot of projects are more creative, you're going to have to come up with things on the fly. Let's say I keep working, I've been working since 2:33 and now I decide, oh, I need to find a software to systematize, I don't know, X. I decided to do that at 3. This creates a very good way to measure your own output and to actually track it hour by hour. Then I realized, oh, I need to finish the copy under the VSL, etc., etc. So this is going to be at the top of the page. The second thing is the record of tasks. Now, the record of tasks right here has 3 main components. It has a pick, a description, and the time that it was completed. Now, an example of this would be, again, let's say I finish my landing page. Let's say I completed the landing page and I completed both of these things. I would basically, again, take a screenshot. Let's say, let me pull up our website, our main landing page. So right here, I finish the landing page. I take a screenshot and I just drag it in here. And I type in completed landing page. And then I put in the time. So let's say I finished it at 3. So at 3 p.m., I finished it. I decided to do it at 2:33. I finished it at 3, right? The reason why this is also so powerful is what I do. And one of the biggest problems that I realized I had was I used to sit with my co-founder for 3-4 hours in the day. And although I love talking to him and we were really developing the vision for the company every time we sat together, it wasn't the most productive time. Just because you're busy doesn't mean you're productive. So now what I do is we have a catch-up call, a 30-minute to 1 hour catch-up call at the end of the day. Other than that, what I do is I just check his to-do. I see what he did. I can just scroll through. I don't need to read everything. I just scroll through. I'm like, okay, so he completed the landing page. He did X, he did Y, he did C. So that really streamlines me checking in on him and him checking in on me. I can check in on him throughout the day, which I'm going to get into how we actually do that. The last thing is also very important. So what we actually do here is we have a daily rating system, right? So the daily rating system actually allows us to measure productivity. So if I have a 6 out of 10 day, I'm going to enter it as a 6 out of 10 day. What distracted me? Let's say I had to mow the lawn, I don't know, go to a funeral, blah, 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 right? Because of course, everybody has emergencies, everybody has different things that come up. So, but you want to measure these things. You want to record these things. If I have a recurring distraction and I check that on my co-founders page or one of my employees page, we're going to have a discussion on how we can eliminate that distraction. And we ideally want to increase this rating year over year. So we want it to go up as much as possible, right? So again, that's a metric tracking system. The last thing for this part is actually the clock out time. The clock out time is basically when you stop your work. So you basically fill this stuff out and then you clock your time that you're basically you stopped working. Here, just as an example, it's 8 p.m. because we like to work a lot here at Compass. But again, even as a solopreneur or an entrepreneur, you can actually use this to see when you started, which is going to be your creation time, and when you ended, and how productive you were. The last thing is sharing this document with an email. Now, you can do this in multiple ways. This is just the easiest way that I found. I created a new email that I named Notes, Compass, whatever, and I put it at the end. And that is part of the template. Now, there's another template link here in case somebody's done with one and this is the next day, so they want to start out on the next day. But at the end, what they would do is they just go ahead and share this with this email, and then you have a centralized place where you have everybody's to do. So I can go into that email, check my Gmail, and see exactly who actually entered their to do list in, when they shared it with me, and basically I can access it all from there. So it's a very good way and a very simple way to centralize everything. You can have this as a Slack channel, you can have this as whatever, right? But the point is, you want it to be centralized somewhere so you don't lose track of these.